Thank you all for coming tonight. This is truly an honor for me to introduce this person. We've all heard a lot about this already tonight, but I'm going to give you a little more background. Funkin' Wagnalls, now you guys can Google Funkin' Wagnalls, defines a mentor
I like them too.
as a wise and trusted counselor or teacher. Does a person need to know they're a mentor to be mentoring you? I think not. Little does she know, but Jan Steiner has mentored me, and she didn't know it at all.
Oh.
She was born into a printer's world. The only child, she was determined to help her father achieve his dream. He had started Thorough Packaging in 1967, and Jan got involved the way many of us who are second and third generation did.
It's me.
Dad wanted cheap labor. Hey, what better way than family? When Jan's father, Macy Daybeck, took ill and passed away, and about a year later, Jan was positioned to move into the business. But in 1982, it wasn't as simple as you might expect for a woman to enter this boys' club industry of ours. After being elected as president and CEO of Thorough Packaging in July of 1982, she set her sights on buying out her father's partners and then ultimately buying out her mother to be the sole proprietor of Thorough Packaging. When she attended her first Pacific Coast Box Makers Association meeting, the good old boys collected there asked her what she was doing at this meeting. She wasn't going to let some chromosomes get in her way. Her answer was simple. My father had no sons. They had no idea what bear they had just poked. Imagine their shock in just a couple of years when Jan took over as president of their association. She had vision, focus, drive, an acute sense of what it took to survive and excel in this business. If Thorough was to produce the best packaging solutions for their customers, then she had to put a great deal of trust in her people, her team, always putting the needs of the team and the company above her own. That's the way she was taught, that's the way she was raised. That drove her throughout her career. She always chose what was best for the company and best for her people, and that would lead to many successes. She also needed to trust her vendor partners as well. She thoroughly researched. Her trusted research would present her with the solution she desired. She knew the company needed a new press to meet customer needs. She researched the market and purchased the first 40-inch Heidelberg CD with a coder in the US way back in 1990. It was a two-color. It was a two-color with a coder to exceed the needs of her customer. When she wanted to increase Thorough's offerings in high-quality, short-run folding cartons, she did her homework again. With her trust in her vendor partners, she installed the first Heidelberg XL75 Anacolor press on the West Coast. Vision, focus, drive. What was best for her company was best for her people, and ultimately another success. Her passion is just not in print, but in schools and education. She believes in young people and nurturing them along the way. She's a member of the board of directors of the Prentice School in Santa Ana, a school for students with learning difficulties, most especially dyslexia, ADHD, and anxiety. Jan also spends time with college-age students, speaking and lecturing, and helping where she can. Always adding where she can give her most value and get value in return. She's a leader. Along that same vein, she's going to donate her award this evening to the Raise Foundation, which is our Printers Scholarship Fund for people entering this trade. And since I'm the chair of the Education Committee, thank you, John, we need it. Somebody has a hat, they could pass it tonight, I wouldn't mind at all. She's been recognized for her efforts in her leadership by winning the Inland Empire's Spirit of Entrepreneur Award in 2017, and recognized by the National Association for Women Business Owners, the Inland Empire's Businesswoman of the Year in 2006. Her example in leadership has led Thorough to be named one of the best workplaces in America by PIA National 3 times. Hopefully you all had a chance to see this outside earlier. It'll still be on display later. But tonight she's receiving legislative I almost said condemnations. Okay, I'll leave it at that. From U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein, U.S. Senator Kamala Harris, U.S. Congressman Kevin Calvert, U.S. Congressman Gil Cisneros, California Senator Richard Roth, California Senator Ling Chang, California Assemblyperson Sabrina Cervantes, California Assemblyman Philip Chin, Riverside County Supervisor Karen Spiegel, who's here this evening, Corona Mayor Jason Scott, Yorba Linda Mayor Tara Campbell. If imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, then this is high praise. It's a great honor for me personally. And ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in welcoming to the stage tonight's 2019 PIA Executive of the Year, Jan Steiner. Out with the old and in with the new.
This is beautiful. Oh my gosh, and with all the plaques, so much for downsizing, right? So, wow, thank you to so many of you. Thank you, Jack. I mean, Jack, you run a fabulous organization, and to be considered in your category with a lot of the other people here blows me away. And thank you to the PIA. And Janet Green, I was in New Zealand with my daughter and my friend Amanda, and we were in a motorhome. And I woke up in the morning and I checked my voicemail, and there was a call from Janet announcing this, which blew me away. I hadn't even had my flat white yet. A flat white is a New Zealand way of having coffee. So anyway, it was just absolutely wonderful. So many people, when people would say to me, what do you do? I say, I'm a CEO of a manufacturing company. Manufacturing, like you're a woman. How did that happen? How did you, I said, my dad started the company. I was in the right gene pool. And they go, you inherited it. No, I inherited an opportunity is what happened. So when my dad got out of World War II, he needed a job, and he got a job as an apprentice plate maker for Continental Can Company in New Jersey. Continental Can made like coffee cans, metal decorating. And so he became an apprentice, and later on he became a journeyman. So that was his background into printing. And then my mom and dad decided that they wanted to move to California. My mom got really tired of the cold winters, and she said in the summer of the humidity her hair went straight, so it was time to move. So as you know, I'm an only child, so we packed up the car, 56 Olds at the time, and packed up most of the things in our house, and we moved to California. My dad had no job. You talk about a gutsy man.
Yeah.
He just quit his job so that we could try a new life in California. It was 1962, I think. So he got out to California, and he was contacted by Mission Engraving. Do some of you know Mission Engraving was out there? They did color separations and printing plates for the printers and folding carton industry. So they contacted my dad. He went in for an interview, and they offered him a job to run the playroom. He goes, well, I've already done that. Do you have anything else? And so they said, well, we have an opening for a junior salesperson. And he goes, okay, I'll take that. So again, very gutsy. And so off my dad did, and started selling color separations and printing plates to commercial printers and the folding carton industry quite a bit. My dad always had a dream that he wanted his own business. So I'd get packed up in the car with them, and we would go look at all different things. We looked at avocado groves in Fallbrook. We looked at bowling alleys. We looked at clothing stores. And obviously, he knew the folding carton industry, and he felt that there was a need for a high-quality, short-run folding carton company. So he started with a partner who actually never left his company, so kind of left my dad really in charge. And so this company needed a name. And so they decided, or my dad loved thoroughbred horses, and tomorrow's the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
So he loved thoroughbred horses because they're fast and nimble, and he liked the play on words. So Thorough, Thoro, packaging became a reality. They started with a single color printing press, a converted letter press to a die cutter. They didn't have enough money for a gluer, so my mom glued most of the boxes. This was her compression section. And she said none of her boxes fell apart. So my dad had this dream, and I wanted to be able to help him. At that time, I was going to Florida Junior College. I was working at Sears part-time, and I was a volunteer laborer, as Jack mentioned. Anybody else here been volunteer labor in the past? Yes. So after I completed Accounting 101, my dad said, great, now it's time for you to close the books. I went, oh my gosh, seriously, Dad? It took me hours, and then I did it, and he gave me a check for $20, and he told me, don't cash it, we don't have the money. Which I knew. Anyway, I would do things in the plant, like I would win sheets. So before we had coders, you had to win sheets to keep the sheets from, any of you who've been in the industry a long time know that, to keep the sheets from sticking together and having offset. And in the folding carton industry, we have strippers, and that's stripping the excess waste away. And we used, before air hammers, we used just a stripping chisel. So I was a stripper.
Wow. I never knew.
We got financially solvent enough where we were able to buy a forklift. I was on the forklift one time, and I almost took out a wall, and my dad said, you will never get on that forklift again. I said, okay. So that was good. So I changed my school schedule to either go to school on Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so I could go and help out. So my dad had bought an old panel truck with 3 on the tree. You know what that means, the 3 on the tree? Yeah, so these youngsters can ask some of the other people, but actually it's a 3-speed manual, and it's on the column. So I made most all the deliveries. When I completed Fullerton JC, I applied to go to Cal Poly Pomona, and they said no. I think it's because I took 3 years to get through junior college. But I was doing other things. So Sears hired me on their executive training program, which was a really cool thing. And I was at retail, I always had a day off during the week. So you can imagine where I went. So one time, Dad really needed money for payroll. So I went to my bank and I closed out my savings account and I brought that money to my dad. So we were able to make payroll, and that's how I got my first stock at Thorough. So then we continued to need cash as we were getting a little larger, and we really wanted to get an automated bluer, kind of retire mom. So my dad took the financials to the bank, and the bank said, no, you're not strong enough for us to loan you money. However, we know somebody who invests in small companies. So my dad went and talked to this person, and lo and behold, we were actually doing folding cartons for him. So he ended up investing into Thorough. He looked at our articles of incorporation and made sure that he had enough shares to vote himself on the board of directors. And at that point is when we had a fiduciary board. So he had 25% shares. So I don't think, and honestly, if we hadn't had that we could have survived. So obviously he put himself on the board. So then one day my dad said, we're getting busy and I would like you to come to work for Thorough. And I go, well, Sears pays me. He said, okay, come on in and I'll meet your salary. So I was in one girl office and I started getting bored. So I took a couple classes and I took a sales class. And then I said to my dad one day, I said, Dad, I'd like to go out into sales. And he goes, oh, great. There's a door. There's the world. Go. Just make sure that the front desk is covered. So I called Mom. Would you please come in and help out? And then my dad got really sick. And as Jack mentioned, we had a board of directors meeting, and on July, actually 20th, 1982, I was elected to the president of Thorough. At that point, we had $1.6 million in sales, and we had about 20 people. So we were very small. Well, the next day I wake up and I go, oh my God, now what? Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? Or you just do it, right? So Dad had 2 other small shareholders. So there was 3 outside shareholders total. So I was able to redeem the stock on the other 2 small ones. And then we still had our 25% shareholder. Well, he was very vocal. And he felt that women did 2 things good at a manufacturing company. One of those things was handle the front desk and make coffee. And the other thing for a manufacturing company is to assemble and pack. So one day at one of the board of directors meetings, he accused me of stealing. Now, all of you that are in the printing business, you know that our margins are not huge. And he had his own company with his own proprietary product that was patented. So he was able to charge more. And our margins are not great, right? I mean, we survive and we employ a lot of people and we have a decent living, but the margins are not the greatest. So I ended up having a certified public audit of Thorough, and the results came back that for our size business, we had more checks and balances than most companies, and that was all accredited to my dad and what he had set up. So then at that board meeting, he said, well, then I feel sorry for the people who have to work for Janet. And I remember I put my head down like this, and my mom thought I was crying. Actually, I was laughing because I thought he already attacked my ethics, now he's attacking my character. You can't get lower than that. So after the meeting, my mom said, can we all meet? And so she said, I don't think this is working for us and you guys. And so I actually, unbeknownst to my mom, I was looking for a buyer for Thorough because my mom had no savings. Everything my mom and dad had were in Thorough. So I was trying to find a buyer. So I came up with a number, and my mom's nodding her head, okay. And so he said, okay, I just might buy you then. And we said, okay. So obviously you know the results, but I figured it was enough money that my mom could live on, and then I figured out how much money I would get, and because I would have needed a car, I would have had enough money to buy a Chevy Nova.
Oh, no.
Because I would not want to work with him, nor would he want to work with me. So obviously it worked out that he said, fine, I'll let you buy me out. And he said at the meeting that what I want to do is I'll give you 3 years to pay me off. And so we walked down there and my mom said, great, he's going to give us 3 years. I said, Mom, I don't want him around. It's terrible. And I said, okay, we have audited financial statements. So tomorrow, I said, you put on your best suit. And I'm going to take Macy, he was just some wee little guy, I'm going to drop him off at nursery school and we're going to go talk to banks. And we got to banks and we were able to work out a program and buy him out.
Yay.
Yay. I consider that year my business degree because I learned a lot. So, and then 1 year later, Mom said to me, okay, now it's time to buy me out. Again, we're capital intensive. How do we do this? So it took the IRS 9 months to approve the purchase. And we put together a 10-year payout to redeem her shares. So that financially put us into negative retained earnings, which is not a good thing, again, for a capital-intensive business. But over the next years, I was able to pay off Mom. There were a couple times I had to say, hold the check, please, but I paid her off in full. We moved to Corona. Thorough grew through the help of our dedicated employees, our customers who had faith in us, our suppliers, and some of you are here today, trusted advisors, my family, and from above.
No.
So then last year, I sold to Autojean, a French company. Voila. I do have a dad story I want to share. So one day when my dad had hired a new person as a woman to work in production, and she didn't come back from lunch. And I said, Dad, do you know why she didn't come back? And he goes, no. I said, well, what did you say to her? He said, well, I told her that project was completed, and after work, she'll have to come back, or after lunch, she'll have to come back and strip. Okay, that's not something to say. So there are a few things that I learned that I'd like to just pass along. I learned that it takes courage. And courage is what you earn when you go through tough challenges and you get more resilient. The second is surround yourself with people that push you to do better. And that's by Warren Buffett. And I want to say the PIA and the contest out there is exactly what that does. It pushes you to be better. You look at all the printing out there, I want to say packaging, all the printing out there and the packaging, and you just see where it's phenomenal. And those are ideas where we put our heads together, we put our heads together with our team. How can we accomplish what the customer wants? So that's really something. So always surround yourself with people that push you to do better. And my favorite is, if you don't make dust, you eat dust. And how I got that is a former employee left and she moved up to Oregon. And she found this poster, and it's these cowboys, and they're charging over this hilltop. And it says on the bottom, if you don't make dust, you eat dust. And that became my mantra. So the cowboy in the front is clear sailing, right? And they're kicking up the dust. and the cowboys in the back, you know, you don't want to eat all that dust, so you want to be a leader. So being here today is a super, super wow. I want to thank you, the PIA, and my friends who came tonight. My mom,